Hi and welcome to episode 51 of China Tools, a series of videos where we put woodworking tools from China to the test. My name is Dennis and I am from Hongdui. And in this episode I want to show you this exciting looking and completely redesigned tea ruler from Hongdui. And recently I made some changes to my workshop to improve acoustics. And besides the acoustic treatments, I'm so happy with how that worked out. It looks amazing, and now I have to finish my back wall with some new cabinets, and then my dream workshop is pretty much finished. So I hope you can hear the differences in this video. And you may have watched episode 50 where I showed you this tea ruler from Hongdui. And ultimately I could not recommend this product, even though most reviewers were very enthusiastic about it. In my opinion, it simply had too many points that were not good enough to make it practical. And that was a shame because I fell in love with it based on its appearance. So I decided to contact Hongdui and made a video for them with all the points I thought this tea ruler fell short on. And those were basically the same points I showed you in episode 50. And the response was pretty surprising and exciting at the same time. So to make this story short, I proudly introduced this completely redesigned hooked on wood Pro version that even carries my logo. Not because I designed it, but because we made it so much better and they thought it deserved my logo. Isn't that great? And in this video I'll walk you through all the changes we made to make this not only the nicest looking but also the most practical combination T-square. And what stayed the same is its incredible look. It really is one of the nicest looking tools in my shop. The quality, fit and finish are just excellent and on par with the best in the market. So what did we change to make it not only the most admirable tool in my shop but also the most practical one? And the former version only came with a combination of a metric and increment scale. This can be annoying for a tea ruler that you will use on both sides, especially when you need to mark a point along the edge of your workpiece. You need to use the same scale on both sides. So the Hooked on Wood Pro version comes with a metric or an increment scale, which has already made a massive difference for me. And one of the most annoying things about the former version is that it easily breaks the pencils. This thing eats your pencils away and can only be used with an 0.5mm pencil. And this is primarily due to the holes being too small, which leaves no space for the pencil to move around, and as a result the tip of your pencil will break. So with my version we just made the holes a bit wider, and now you can see you can move an 0.5mm pencil around without breaking the point. And this also applies to a 1mm pencil, and that makes all the difference when you work with it. In episode 50 I also commented on the scale's readability. However, we did some tests with an alternative scale and ended up in the same place where we started. What I wanted initially asked for another row of holes, but this did not make it more transparent. Now that I'm used to it, it seems easier to select every 5mm at the bar's middle. And because of the giant gap in the middle, it's not as rigid as a solid tea ruler. The older version needed the insert spread over the length of the tea ruler to make it stiff. And although this worked, we narrowed the middle gap 5mm to strengthen it even further. And this combined with 2 extra inserts makes it as rigid as a solid tea ruler. So these points made it already a satisfying tea ruler to work with. But it's obviously a tea ruler with more functions. So let's explore these functions. This is a short message that when you need some inspiration to make the best out of your workshop, visit my website www.hookedonwood.online. Here you'll find all the ideas I came up with to improve my workshop. And now I offer detailed plans for most of these ideas. So visit www.hookedonwood.online. I really like the function to using it as a drill guide. It's one of the best additions to a T-ruler. And we often mark points where we must drill holes, so why not combine this with the T-ruler? Not only will this save time, but as I showed you in my former video, you will also be able to make perfectly straight holes. So, although I liked the initial idea of adding this function, its design did not completely satisfy me. First, there was only one drill guide module, and I think you need at least two to make it more flexible. But depending on your work, I imagine you may even need more. So this T-ruler comes with two drill modules, but you can now buy extra drill modules for this version. And every drill module will come with 3, 4, 5 and 6 mm bushings. In the former version, you aligned the drill guide's needle against a marking line. However, drawing the line is often annoying because you do not know exactly where the X and Y axis will be, especially with multiple holes. So you need to draw a longer line instead, which you later have to remove again. So wouldn't it be much easier just to mark a small mark at the X axis and that would be it? Well, with this version we made that possible. When you slide away the module to draw circles, you find a small line by which you can align your marking point. And when making one of my shop cabinets, the T-ruler with multiple drill guides showed how easy and practical it can be. I did not have to measure anything, I just placed the drilling guide to the correct points and drilled those holes at the back. And because you can make perfectly straight holes, this is probably the safest way of doing this. And when you want to organize the holes at a certain point, you just have to mark them at the edge of the cabinet. It's very convenient and leaves little room for mistakes. And the same can be said about the line modules. You can set two modules to draw lines. And of course you can use all the holes of your ruler, but there's something convenient to set them and keep them as a reference within a project. And the last function is to use this T-ruler to draw circles. And with 65 centimeters you can draw circles 130 centimeters in diameter. And especially for drawing these larger circles, this design is perfect. And with the former version it was tough to disconnect the base. And this was only possible by losing these two screws. And as a result, you needed to recalibrate it every time you use this function. And because of the possibility of adjusting the ruler, you need also a reference to make it square. But like I said in the former video, you can argue whether this is a good or bad thing. I have that reference, so it's not a problem for me to calibrate it. But you can also say that if you spend this amount of money, it needs to be square out of the box. You should not invest first in a reference to make it accurate. And they choose the last approach when completely redesigned how to disconnect the base from the ruler. And this works perfectly. It is so much easier to disconnect the two parts. And the way they designed it, it will be perfectly straight when connecting it again, so you do not need a reference and this T-ruler is straight out of the box. And with the former version you needed to set the line module at the back. And although this seems not to be that big of a problem when you want to draw one circle, but when you want to draw two circles to create a disc or a ring, you need to take out the ruler out of the pivot hole to change the settings. And it will be challenging to place the needle right back at the same point because you cannot see the needle. And the same can be said when the center point of your circle is critical. It is impossible to control where you place your needle. So we made it possible that we can set the line modules from above. And this way you can keep the center needle in the hole and change your settings. But we also added another line module, so when you want to make two circles, you just set it once and draw your circles. And like I said before, these two line modules are also convenient in general when you want to set multiple marking references. So although we do not need to remove the ruler from its pivot hole to set new dimensions, When the place of that pivot hole becomes critical, it is still challenging to set it at a particular mark. So with this version we create an acrylic pin holder to look through. And it's still not easy to see the pin, but it is visible this way, and that gives you so much more control over where to place the pin to center your circle. So in the end, Hongdui redesigned this T-ruler based on all the points I suggested in my video. And I think it shows great courage to listen to critique, especially when it concerns more than a few points. Completely redesigning how to connect the base to the ruler is not a minor point. And it basically means you have to start over again. And every aspect of this T-ruler is redesigned. They could use the same modules from the former one, but by narrowing the gap, they needed to change it anyway, so they grabbed the moment to refine it even further. So going through all these hazards so shortly after introducing a new tool is remarkable at least. And I cannot express enough how impressed I was with our communication, the solutions they brought to my findings, and the short period it took to create and engineer these solutions. So I think we made this T-ruler not only one of the best looking T-ruler in the market, but also one of the most practical combination T-rulers. And unfortunately it's not a very affordable T-ruler, it costs some money, but I think it's a very high quality T-ruler that you will actually use. So in that case it's worth every penny. And production has started as we speak, and we plan to ship next Monday, according to the principle of first order in is first order out. So if you want this T-ruler, you know what to do. And of course, because they handle every point of critique I could find with the first version, I cannot other than give it the highest score. And this is my scoring card. Well, having my logo on a tool with this quality level is such a motivation. It intensified my ambition to launch a few products I entirely designed myself. So I hope I will offer them to you this year as well. Thank you for watching. I will come back soon with another episode because I recently got some very affordable tools from Banggood and I've used them now for a few weeks and they are really good. So I want to show them quickly because I think you will love them. Again, thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe and well, we see each other next time.